I'm going to show you a few different underglaze techniques that you can do. The underglazes that I'm using are the Speedball, but I have other brands that are equally good. Make sure that they're shaken. I'm using a couple different colors, a few different colors, so I've put them on a little tray, okay? At the end of your session, you're gonna need to wash all of your tools off. Now, I did experiment with paper stencils, and the small paper stencils do not work very well, so I would not do them. If you're going to use paper stencils, you want to cut kind of big shapes out. I've torn newspaper, and I can show you how to do that. That works really nicely. You're working with leather hard work. This is a little bit yellow because I wiped off what I was doing when I was trying out different techniques. I'm going to do this on the back. You can see I put some paper stencils here, and the problem with these little ones is that they pop off, okay, when you're trying to go, and then also they are hard to remove, okay. So there's a couple different negatives about that. Now, my leather hard piece, I am going to spray it with some water to get the newspaper to stick. And I'm taking these off right now so you can see how to remove them. I tried it with the needle tool, but what was happening, or a sharp tool, it was that I was poking the clay and damaging my piece, which you don't want to do. If you do happen to damage your piece, just get a ceramic sponge and wipe it and smooth it, or get a rib, okay? If you mess up when you're doing the color, you can always wipe that off too with like a spray bottle and a damp paper towel, or in the bucket, or with a cosmetic sponge maybe. Okay, so let me just spray this a little bit and get it so that it's the newspaper is going to stick to it. I'm holding it with my hand because I don't want to damage the shape of my piece, and I'm doing the back because I really don't want to put this on the front of my piece. I'm just using some torn up newspaper, okay, and wait, let me get one more piece, and I'm going to place it on here just to see what that looks like, okay. Really make sure it's stuck. Okay, now I'm going to take a cosmetic sponge, which, as I said, at the end, you're going to want to wash all these things off. So think about that when you're working, okay? It might be good to team up with someone and, share the tools so that you can clean them together, and you're not stuck cleaning, 8 different tools off at the end. I have to put 3 coats on, right? So I have to take my time. And I'm dabbing with the sponge. I'm trying not to lift the newspaper up. Okay. Now, I have put this out on my tray. I'm not trying to use too much, all right? But I could blend colors, which can look really nice. So if you want to blend your colors, you can do that. Now, and don't make it too thick, of course, because then it'll be lumpy. And let's see, I'm just trying to get this quickly so you can see what torn newspaper stenciling looks like. So now I'm removing. So that's kind of nice. There's a special look, there's a particular look. And of course this would go in the trash. Now I'm going to flip mine over and I'm going to work on the front. Actually, you can see that I did some stamping here, which I could continue doing now that I'm thinking about it. I've got my colors out. I do want to kind of put some color out so it's kind of a smooth surface. And I've got a couple different little pads here. So I'm going to try this one. I used the other one a minute ago. And you really do need to kind of dip it on the tray. I was painting on it and it didn't really work well. So you want to just sort of go right to the source here. I did a pot, I'll show you in a moment, that that turned out nicely, but I felt it was like a little too subtle. So let's see if I can find that one. Oh, here it is. Okay, so that looks nice, but I think I wish I had put more on the pad. And I had put purple underglaze on it, and then I took blue, and I basically dipped this in the blue and stamped it on there. So that's nice. You know, if you want it to be less subtle, you maybe want to put a light color background on, and then a darker color for the stamping, or vice versa. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go to the front. I've got a number of letter stamps, and you could either use those by pressing them into your clay to make the design, and you could personalize something, or you could write out a line of poetry, which is really nice. My sister's name is Amy, so if I give her this plate, I could personalize it for her by stamping backwards, of course. Okay, and I think I just moved it, so let's see if that looks pretty good. But then if I had to put a second color on there, I have to really make sure it's lined up properly. So, you know, if you're not a detailed person, you might want to avoid that. Now, I have these very flexible rubber stamps, and instead of dabbing, well, let's try it. Dabbing it on there, I have a feeling that it's better just to dip it into the underglaze. Let's see, and of course a yellow snowman, that's probably not a good idea, but here we go. No, I don't like that either. I would avoid these unless I were taking them and pressing them into the clay. So like if I took it on this side and I was, just to show you what it looks like pressed, let's see here, I'm supporting it so I don't mess it up. That might be better, right? Okay, now I did get some cork, and cork might be an interesting way to do a pattern on there, okay? But I made this one the other day, and I want to show you how you can actually paint it. So I was picking out my brushes, and this one is so like fat. It's full of glaze. Look, can you see that? All the dust coming off of it. So you got to clean them better than that, all right? I'm going to take some color. I have two different variations of green, and I'm just going to paint the bamboo. Okay, now you can do that, and that looks really nice. And painting on the color directly on the raised surface. And if you know, go outside the lines, it's not the end of the world. I'm not the kind of person that worries about staying in the lines. Now, of course, if you mess up terribly, you could either scrape it off with a clean tool or a sponge or a clean paintbrush, like clean that up. There we go. Okay, without damaging your piece. Now I can take the bamboo itself and paint that in. Okay, I can use a couple different variations in green to make it look like there's highlight. The sun is hitting it, right? Okay, so this might be something that you're interested in doing. And let's see here, where there was another one. No, I think that's it. Make sure you thoroughly wash your brushes at the end so that the next person comes along and doesn't get yellow in their pink underglaze. Okay, good luck.